This time on Ask Rad Rat, we talk about the unwritten rules of games of skate. Welcome back to Rad Rat Video, a channel all about skateboarding in all of its forms. I am happy to be back here. Hopefully there wasn't a gap, but I had a 4-day remodeling project that ended up taking 32. And so it has been impossible to record things in my house because it's been incredibly loud. And he would always come when my workday ended and then work until bedtime. So there was no... It's been a while since I've been able to easily record. I squeezed in a few on Sunday a few weeks ago, but then he started work on Sundays too. So I'm hoping to get back into the flow of things a bit more and do some more game, either like a challenge run or game reviews or something. I'm hoping to get back into some of that stuff soon, but I'm glad to at least be able to catch up on this. Let's get into the first question, which is from Dylan, who says, hey man, question for Ask Rad Rat. You've fallen into a time machine and have been sent back in time to 2008 as a developer working on Tony Hawk Ride. What would you do to fix the game so that it isn't a complete failure? Bonus points if you keep the weird skateboard peripheral. Okay, let me show you that skate peripheral if you haven't seen it. By the way, pop up in the corner will show you my review of Tony Hawk Ride. At the end of that, there is one for Tony Hawk Shred, which is the sequel. This is the controller for that game. It has, if you ever find it at a thrift store or whatever, this is not enough. It has to have a dongle that plugs into your PS3 or Xbox 360. And the skateboard itself is not bad as far as like the size and all the stuff that it can do. But the game just doesn't do it very well. For example, these on the side, these are supposed to sense when you push. So if you're standing with a foot, it doesn't matter which one, I guess, but you do this and it counts that as a push. But if you push off of the edge of something, now this is a grab. And there's a bunch of times where you're accidentally doing grabs and things like that. I would find a way to turn off the pushing and just have it so like you drop in and you just go, like that seems like a much better way to do things. And like the way you do tricks is really bad. So you like pop the tail and as it's up, you can tip it and that'll either do a heel flip or a kick flip or, shove it, 360 flip. But doing a specific trick, if you wanted to do a 360 flip off of this gap right here, it might take you 15 tries because you'll do everything else. It's just not specific enough. It's not finely tuned enough to be able to pick a specific trick. And so I don't think that's what they should have done. So I can't just say make the controller better. Let's say I'm coming into the project after the controller has been done. How do I work with this trash and make the game decent? I would have more hold this grind for a long time type stuff. So instead of trying to get a high score, because trying to do a high score in a combo is just like, you're just kind of doing this. You want to be in you want to be landing in either a grind or in a manual. So you're always back, you're just tipping, you're doing this. And this is how a high score looks. It just looks like this. You do this for like 2 minutes and hopefully you got a good score at the end. A high score should not be a part of the game. It should be like trying to pick the right path. So if you picture like a bunch, you could grind all these different things and they all go like different routes and stuff like that. And maybe one has a cool thing on it and you're trying to find the secret tape or the hidden decks or stuff like that, trying to collect something by finding the best route. But doing that best route is hard because you've got to hold a grind a certain, for the whole length of it. And trying to hold a grind means actually balancing. So that could be, excuse me. So that could be one way to make it better. And it's possible to make like a puzzle of some kind, like I was talking about, you can grind these 4 things. You got to pick which one. But if there was some kind of puzzle, like each time I grind the blue one, it unlocks this next section. A way where you are on a skateboard but you're just turning and holding your balance in different ways. You're not trying to do tricks, at least not specific ones. That would be one of the best ways to upgrade the game. And the second one would be to do some more with the vert. The vert is actually kind of cool. So you start on the tail and you just kind of drop in, and you can do actual stalls. You can like do a nose stall, you can kind of turn a little bit and do like an axle stall. The vert actually felt kind of cool. The only thing is, the only way to spin in the game is to actually spin, like to actually just do a pivot on the ground. So to do like a McTwist would actually be hard as a person to be able to do that. So I'm not sure how you could do that better. Maybe it would be, like there's a ring in the air and you've got to go through it. So if you can find this right line and you can do like certain types of spins and things like that, but again, not specific tricks. Just hold a grab while spinning front side. If it had vert challenges like that, the vert felt pretty cool, considering how bad everything else felt. It was the best part. So yeah, puzzles, picking a path, and expanded vert sections, I think, would be the best way to fix that game. The next question is from Shredward, who has a question. Do you think the location of your upbringing during your childhood and your adolescent years affects a skater's ability to make a career out of it? I'm very shy and timid, and I also happen to live in what I sort of consider to be somewhat of a hotbed of skateboarding. So seeing everyone around me attain skills so quickly is often sort of a downer, makes me discouraged when I'm at a skate park, because there's guaranteed to be a pool of skaters of at least 5 who are at least, like sponsorship quality type skaters are around all the time. So he finds it very discouraging. So is it possible that where you grow up has an effect on whether you can become a pro skater or get sponsors and things like that? I think that it does make a pretty big difference. I've got some notes here. So I went to Venice Beach, California recently on a trip. And it was crazy to see just like people casually who are very good, and like pro skaters who are just kind of cruising around doing stuff. And I was thinking, like, if you needed to learn a trick and it was a kind of normal trick, there's people around who you could ask. I'm trying to get this kickflip front nose, but I always slip out. Can you like tell me what's going on? Am I like, is my weight off as I'm popping? Am I landing weird? And you could get some advice from people who actually know what they're talking about and could help you get better. In my case, when I was in high school, I saw a kid, I was on the school bus. I saw a kid try to do a kickflip off a curb and he bailed it. And I was amazed. And that was all I saw until I started to skate myself. So I had to learn everything from scratch. And so when I try to teach tricks, which there's a playlist here, they're all quite old now, but when I would teach tricks, I would take a lot of time to teach them. They're very long and very detailed, and talking about exactly where your weight should be in the balance and foot position and all this kind of stuff. And if this goes wrong, do this. The reason I started to make those is because I had to troubleshoot all that stuff on my own. I didn't know anybody who skated. So I think there's some pros and cons, like being discouraged by amazing skaters being around all the time and making you feel like you're not that good. But you can also rise up to where they're at just by seeing them so much. So like, if you've ever tried to skate a gap by like without your friend, just you go yourself, you maybe bring your camera and you're going to try to skate this gap. It's really hard, right? To just try to do something alone. But if you are building off of your friend and you both do some tricks to start up, and then he does the ollie, so now you're going to try the kickflip, you can help push yourself that way. And if there's always really good skaters around, I think it would push you forward to be better quicker. But I might just be saying that because I had the opposite experience. So I'm not too sure on that. But there's not that much you can do about it, right? You grew up in the place you grew up. All right, the next question is from Unknown, who says, I used to watch you back in the day. I think your old channel taught me how to heel flip and kick flip. So thank you. Your in-depth explanations made such difference in showing how to do them. What was the easiest trick for you to learn, and what is your go-to warm-up trick? I didn't remember that was the next question when I was talking about those old trick tips, but yeah, they're very in-depth. But my tricks I do are every type of basic shove, like very simple off the nose or fakie, just kind of get going, spin the board around, land back on it in different ways, front side, back side, tail, nose, all that stuff. They're all very easy and they don't take much effort. So, I've got some bad joints and all that stuff. And so like to kind of warm up and get the motion, you don't have to do them that high, but you can do them a little bit higher once you're feeling up to it a little bit more. That's kind of my go-to thing. The easiest trick I ever learned was an inward heel flip, which I'm pretty sure I landed the first time I ever tried it. It was stationary in the grass, but it was the simplest thing. I knew how to pop shove it. I knew how to do a heel flip, and I just did them both at the same time. I didn't make any weird placements for my feet. I didn't try to adjust for the shove it by some people when they do it, they kind of flick with their toe down slightly as it begins to spin. I didn't do any of that. I just did a pop shove it and a heel flip, and it just worked. Really crazy. The only thing was doing it stationary is you have to adapt that to go, each way. So you don't immediately know how to do the trick because you did it stationary. But I only filmed a couple of them. I don't think I even filmed a really good one. So I didn't keep that trick all that well, and I never got great at it, but I did learn it immediately. So probably just a fluke on that one, but that is the answer. All right, next question is from BWB Wyvers, who says, is calling your tricks in a game of skate really necessary? I don't think so. The only time I would call a trick before doing it is if it has a common trick that looks similar. Like if I was going to do a 360 shove and you thought I tried an impossible and it just didn't look right. Then it's well, I'm not going to match the trick that you did on accident. If it's anything like that, and there's going to be a question afterwards, was that pressure or was that an inward heel? That type of thing. That's the only time I would consider doing it, but I don't think there's any reason to call a trick. Maybe you explain the trick afterward. Oh wait, that was switch. You just met somebody or something like that. But having to call it, I don't think so. But we do have another question about games of skate. This one is from Bob Boltzquist, who says, what do you think of people who start a game of skate with a switch heel? I spoke to the homies about this, and the responses were all over the place. Some said it was innocuous, and some others said that people who do it are the same guys whose phone would automatically connect to your girlfriend's Wi-Fi. Basically, from what I've gathered, no one seems to think of it as completely harmless. In fact, it seems that the general consensus is that it's snide, a cheeky and on-the-nose way of skill-checking someone or drawing their ire with a seemingly simple trick, but not too tech, like something like a Rick flip or a nollie tray that people watching would notice as someone trying to give you letters quickly. A Rick flip is a fakie big spin heel flip for those who didn't know. I also recall Chris Cole speaking about the unwritten rules of games of skate, where he spoke about the gentleman's agreement, where it's considered polite to do a few warm-up tricks like kick flips and pop shove-its before getting into more tech stuff. So, what do you think? Is a switch heel flip really an evil trick? I think starting switch at all is kind of a rude thing to do. If you just met that person, you have to get used to their stance. It takes a second. And then if they're doing stuff off the nose and fakie, and they're doing switch and they're doing all this stuff, and you just met them, you have to convert it in your head if they're not the same stance. So just to go in switch first is kind of uncool. To start off with some very simple basic tricks is, I definitely think, the right thing to do. Unless you've both been skating for some time that day, and you're both, in all set and you're good to go, then yeah, I would definitely start with that. but you can go way too far. So like I was saying, I can do every type of shove very easily, not popped necessarily, but I can do them all, nose, tail, like any stance in any direction, and it's not that hard. But you might not have practiced those. You know, like who spends a lot of time doing switch shoves? You know, like I do them, but you might not because you're doing something better. But if I do every single type of shove, there's a chance you'll get to SK before I've done anything hard. And then you might do the same thing to me, and you can do, you know, every type of kickflip, and I only do them switch and normal and fakie. And I, you know, there's ways to like just kind of be a jerk in a game of skate just by like doing a ton of really easy stuff and just hoping that they slip up, or by specifically doing things you know they're bad at. Now I'm talking about a casual game with your friends, or you know, just some random person at the skate park. I'm not talking about trying to win a trophy at an event. You know, like that's not, most people aren't going to have that type of experience. So yeah, there is definitely some strategy to just having more fun and just trying to like build off of each other and not just trying to devastate somebody, you know? So I think the best thing to do, which is the way I like to play if I know the other person, is to only do tricks that they have landed before. And that is a lot more fun, because like if you haven't done a trick in a year, but I just did it, like there's a chance that you could match that, and that would be crazy if you did. But if you've never done a switch heel, and I do a switch heel and then a switch front heel and then a switch varial heel, it's like there's no chance you're going to do that first try, and it's just kind of a jerk thing to do. So with no cash on the line, no trophy, it's not live on TV, like just have fun with it, you know? So I think that's the best unwritten rule in a game of skate, is to just be chill. Don't be a jerk. So yeah, don't start with a switch trick, and don't start by doing a million easy ones either. And I think you'll have the most fun that way. So that's it for now. If you have any more questions, go to radratvideo.com. There's a form on the homepage you can fill out to send the question right into my inbox, and I will take a look at that to make sure you see your question later. Subscribe, hit the like button on your way out, and you can join. You can send in questions through Patreon as well. And that's it. I'll see you later. Thanks for hanging out.